Hey, Trav.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm alright.
I'm chatting to Travis today. Travis is a psychologist, and thank you so much for coming in, because I think now is just such a relevant time, really. We've sort of had, about a month or 2 months close now?
Seems like 10 years.
It does, doesn't it? It really, really does. And we were sort of chatting about, how, I sort of asked the question of what do you think has been the most sort of important thing that we've sort of either learned from this or sort of coming out from this, and how people are sort of dealing with life.
There are so many things.
Isn't there? I was just thinking that as I'm asking you those questions, and I'm thinking, wow, it intrigues me, so many things I want to ask you, and I think so many people have gone through so many different emotions.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people forget that that this is a grief process in essence, right? Having something that you're familiar with taken away from you suddenly and against your will, just stimulates that whole cycle. People are going through different phases of that, ranging from sort of despair to anger to everything else in between.
Yeah.
And then as we get into what we would call the third quarter of this, not knowing how long the actual game is, but the third quarter, people are starting to go through different phases. They start to get irritable and grumpy and angry and withdraw, and we've been reaching out to each other virtually a lot, and all of a sudden people start not responding and not reaching out as often. There's a whole bunch of stuff that sort of starts to surface which is different from before. So I think one of the big challenges is just being aware of that, because a lot of people are experiencing this and they get a bit freaked out because they don't know whether that's normal or not. So it's absolutely normal to be on a roller coaster.
Yeah. And I think too, it's we sort of said before that, some people that would be experiencing feelings that they've never felt before. Like, I would see myself as a positive person and I'd have a laugh about myself, but I must admit there were really challenging times for me that I thought, if I don't get up and get myself motivated, or it's really easy to create bad habits. And I think that, one thing is that it's okay. It's really okay to feel those things. And I think that, like you say, be self-aware of it.
Yeah.
And what would be your best advice that you could sort of give us that, if we are having a bad day, someone will often say, how do you get out of that? And how do you stay positive?
I think one of the big challenges is recognising that if you're having a bad day, it's okay to have a bad day. And I've had this conversation with a few people now. It's like we've conditioned ourselves to think that we need to be okay and happy all the time, and that's just not.
It's not reality.
It's not reality.
It's
not
not
what humans do, right?
No.
Happiness goes in cycles like everything else in the universe, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of anxiety that comes along with not being happy or feeling down. Because it's, oh my God, I'm getting anxious or depressed, or it's like, well, guess what? Depression is a continuum. And some days we're, right over on the happy side, or we're flourishing. Sometimes we're down the floundering side. And just acknowledging that, recognising that, and when you're in that space which is sort of heading towards floundering rather than flourishing, letting people know and saying, I'm not feeling good today, I'm having a bad day. Recognise what helps you personally in those times, and asking for help is a massive thing. And what we're like, we tend not to ask for help.
No. And a lot of people too are too proud to, and think, that they think there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
But I think, like, if you do have a bad day, then when you do have a good day, you appreciate. Because if it's all good all the time, how do you appreciate the good?
That's right.
Like, if you have a bit of bad and a bit of good, you understand the difference between the two. It's like when you're sick. You think, wow, I didn't realise how good I actually felt when I was healthy until I was really sick. And I thought, well, this is what bad feels like. Yeah. But now that I'm healthy, I'm like, even if I'm feeling a bit off, this is pretty good.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to get attached to the peaks and the troughs, though, right?
Yes.
It's like, I want to let go of this feeling of euphoria and wonderful happiness.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be, too attached to that, because you know it's going to end, right?
Yeah.
And even when you're in the depths of despair, knowing that's going to end is actually a hopeful thing, which helps us get out of it. So, riding the waves, decreasing the height of the peaks and the depth of the troughs, smoothing out the waves. That's what we're trying to do to maintain that sort of level of mental health.
It's really, really good. And I think too that like a lot of people maybe coming, or even during this period, there's been some really positive things. Like people have found out, I mean, I've looked on my Facebook and I've gone, wow, I didn't know you painted. Oh, you're a cook.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that's really great. But then there's other things that it's, how do you get motivated when you're just not feeling it? Like, it's really hard to dig deep and get motivated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, one of the first things is if you're not motivated, don't beat yourself up for not being motivated. Because especially a lot of high performing people, you know, I spend most of my time in business. You know, people are used to being productive, they're used to being on all the time, they're used to getting stuff done, and having people around them constantly. It's like, well, you know, maybe it's okay not to have that inner voice berate you for not being productive all the time, for example. You know, maybe this conditioning around I have to be on 24/7, maybe that's not sustainable. You know, maybe we need to think about a different way of being. And we were talking before about the good things that are coming out of this. There are hundreds of thousands of people saying, you know what, I kind of realised that I was a bit of a boiling frog. You know, before this happened, I was just working myself to death and I didn't really know it. And now we've taken the foot off the accelerator, so oh my God, I can see it now. So interestingly, a lot of organisations are already planning for maybe 30-40% of their workforce not coming back to the office.
Is that right?
So, you know, what does that mean in terms of bigger picture stuff? Well, there's a lot of flow effects on that, but it gives you a good indicator that different people are going to want to be working and living differently to what they were before. And that's going to be a new adventure, and it's going to be, I think, a lot healthier way of being.
I think this has forced us to step back. And like we've probably all wanted to do it, you know, at some point we said, right, I've got to do this, or I've got to be, you know, do I need to spend this much time, and I need to spend more time with my family, or be in the moment. Like I think a lot more people are probably in the moment now when they're with their partners or with their kids, they're doing jigsaw puzzles, or they're, you know, just appreciating, because they're forced to be at home. I think they're really seeing what their surroundings are. That's because they're forced to. So it is a really good thing to be able to step back, step out of it, and then be the one that's looking in, not being around it and seeing all this stuff, you know, which is a really great thing. Really, really great thing.
And attending to things that you're grateful for. You know, just, you know, gratitude is a really underrated reflective space for people. There's so many things that we just take for granted, but in these situations are highlighted. And if we can really sit with those and really appreciate those in the moment, it makes a huge difference to your mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about what you've got, not what you don't have. Because I think these days social media does have that ugly way of having that perception that, you know, of all those sorts of things. And so, you know, I think one thing of just being able to switch off from that.
Absolutely.
And just be in your own little life and be in your own little moment. It's a real, it's so simple though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some of that simple stuff that
simple
we forget
but complicated
to do.
and hard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. so true. Absolutely. What else do you think that I think for us when we all go back to work again, I mean, I know we've just talked about it, but do you think personally, what would be something that maybe even 3 things that we could all sort of, a little exercise that we could do, whether it's writing something down that you could recommend to us that might help? I mean, I know everyone's different, everyone's got different personalities, different life, but...
Yeah, well there's a couple of things generally speaking that I think are going to help people get back. One is just really being aware of how you've become dependent upon social media, for example, in terms of communication, but also connecting with people virtually through technology. And weaning yourself off that to go back in the real world isn't necessarily going to be easy either, right? And look, social media is incredibly addictive. You mentioned it before. I'm consuming through Facebook, for example, another person's curated life, and I'm only getting the best bits of that. And we forget that people don't post that they're having a shitty day today and I'm feeling depressed. Because no one's going to click on that, right?
Yeah. But it's true, you know, Gary Vee, I'm sure you've heard of Gary Vee, he says that as well, that no one really says, you know, I'm having a bad day today. They always put the good stuff up,
That's exactly right.
But you'd sort of think, you also want to keep people upbeat, so do you, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting sort of challenge because it is, you've got to keep people feeling good. It's like, well, maybe not. Maybe you just have to recognise that some days you're going to feel bad. So be prepared when you go back into the workforce or back into normal life, that all the excitement that you're going to think that you're going to feel may not be there. You might actually have the opposite.
I never thought about that.
And it's interesting that some people are going to get anxious going back out into the world.
Yeah.
Because their world of safety is closed in and got smaller.
Yeah.
And now they've been dragged out of that. That causes anxiety.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if you suddenly, start to feel a bit angsty when you're back out there. Don't be surprised if you do get a bit anxious and you do get a bit panicky.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then let people know.
Yeah.
Second thing would be have reasonable and realistic expectations of yourself, and recognise that if you said that you wanted to work differently before, here's the time and the opportunity to do that, but it's still going to be very difficult, and you're going to feel pulled back to where you were working before. So be aware that if you're going to make a change rarely happens in a single hit. You usually have to go around the cycle 3 or 4 times, maybe more. For some people, they forget that it takes a long time to actually change. It's not an instantaneous thing.
Yeah. How long does it take to make a change?
Well, it's interesting because it depends on a lot of different factors like level of motivation and life events and all sorts of different things. And I jokingly say to some of my clients, look, a significant life-changing event or a near-death experience can sometimes bring about change instantaneously. So, maybe if I smother you with a pillow till you're almost dead, that'll just make my life easier, right? I'm joking.
He won't do that if you come in to see him. He's a nice man.
So it's very difficult to predict, but the change process goes through a cycle where I relapse and I regress. And it's interesting that we process relapses and regressions as failures to change. So that's what happens in our head. It's an absolutely natural part of the change process. So rather than beating ourselves up for, having a bad day on a diet, for example, we should be celebrating that as a milestone in the journey towards change, if that makes sense, because I've got to go through this cycle. So helping people to understand that if you're going to change, you're not going to nail it first time when you go back day one.
I really like that.
So be kind to yourself in that regard.
Yeah.
And then I guess we've got to have 3, right?
Yeah. One more would be great.
The other thing is keep all of the things that you're finding really work and are of value to you built into your ISO life. So a lot of people are exercising regularly, for example. That's their discipline and that's their routine. Don't go throwing that out the door because suddenly you're busy again. Because that's the most important thing for you to be productive, right? So just making the link between healthy behaviours and regular, looking after yourself type behaviours. And your productivity and performance is a critical sort of link. And busyness will always erode that important stuff away from you. So be aware of the fact that it will take you back to where you were before. So if you don't want to go back there,
keep that good habit.
Right.
But the routine.
That's right. And when you bail out on it, when it doesn't work on a day, don't beat yourself up. Just pick it up again the next day. So we use the term self-compassion. Just being kind to yourself, speaking nicely to yourself. Speak to yourself the way that you speak to your kids. That's sometimes hard to do, right?
Well, it depends what they're doing.
Well,
if they're behaving or if you're loving them, or
you
always love them, but
not when you're talking about kids trying to get them on the bus to go to school this morning. We'll talk about that later.
Didn't want to go?
I don't like the idea of the bus. It's like, you've got to take me, because it used to being driven to school. That's a whole new podcast. Right.
We can do it again. And I think that's the thing, there's so many of us that have so many different situations, and I think that, that's just the thing, isn't it? It's just, even for kids, I've got a girlfriend of mine that's got a newborn baby, and she was saying that the baby was so used to going to everybody else, whereas now she doesn't know how he's going to go, because, and it's different for them. So there's so many different generations that there's going to be ISO kids, and they'll remember it all. So, it's good for us. So, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
No worries.
And Dr. Travis Kemp, amazing. You have just really helped us, and I take this as being kind to yourself.